Hello and welcome to a 21-day spiritual retreat. And talking about spiritual retreat, what exactly is it? Most people think that we have to set aside special time and we need to learn special skills to become spiritual, and that is fine. That's one way of looking at it. But most people actually, even though we are quarantined and one would think that we have a lot more time to spend on ourselves and growing spiritually, they find they're actually coming up short on time because many of the chores which they had delegated to help is not available due to the social distancing that we have to go through right now. And also many other people thinking they really have to go to special retreats and be trained by special masters and webinars and something separate from what they do, the usual chore and routine and grind of daily life. But I would actually like to bring in the idea from a movie I had seen many, many years ago called Karate Kid, where this Zen master, Mr. Miyagi, taught this street kid who was being bullied by his peers to become a master in karate, not by going to any fancy school, but from daily mundane routine things like waxing cars, painting fences, sanding wood. And I would like to talk a little bit about how we can incorporate that concept into making our life more spiritual. And to do that, I would also like to discuss about yoga, how to bring yoga into our life. And the root word for yoga is yug, unite. Unite what? Unite two disparate energies in such a way that what you create is going to be larger, bigger than the sum of the energies together. And traditionally, yoga has been understood to bring mind body, unite the body with the mind through awareness and breath control, and that is wonderful. But we can actually make every act an act of yoga. How? By extrapolating the requirements, uh, the the requirements of breath awareness and just simple awareness to everything that we are doing. A few days ago was Ram Navami, and we talked about how that imagery of Ram being our spiritual self, higher self, and Sita being our material self, our lower self, when they were separated, they were brought together by Lakshmana, that is awareness, and Lord Hanuman, which is breath control, pranayam, and also energy that has mastered the mind. Man is mind, Han is destroyed the monkey mind. Ironically, today is Hanuman Jayanti, the birthday of Lord Hanuman, and we can take that same level of making everything an act of sacred offering to our spiritual self, Lord Ram. And how do we do that? Well, we do the same things that the story taught us. We bring our awareness and our breath to every act. And by just bringing your awareness to your breath, you immediately bring yourself to the present moment. Because when your awareness is established in your breath, is thinking about your breath, breath in, breath out, you cannot be thinking about your past and your future. So then, what I'm trying to offer right now is for us to take all our mundane chores and make it a spiritual offering, whether it is cooking or cleaning or laundry or even our work. To consider it at the beginning that you're going to make this a sacred offering to your higher self, and in a mode of surrender and bringing very focused attention to what you're doing. And you could start one way that makes it helpful for me to do this is I say that I am aware of cooking now, that I'm going to cook. I choose to cook. I want to cook. I'm aware of getting a knife, I'm aware of getting a certain vegetable, I'm aware of cutting it, I am aware of, step by step. Initially it is very tiring, but you get the idea and you fall into a routine of bringing awareness. It is actually quite tiresome in the beginning, because bringing the mind under control is by no means an easy job, but it can be done. And it's a question of training a child or training a pet. You do it again and you do it again and you do it again with love and compassion, and eventually you do it. So we learn to make every act, everything that we do, mundane act, an act of offering, making it sacred, the best we can do. What do we do in sacred offerings when we worship? We bring out the best that we are capable of, whether it is a food offering, whether it is flowers, whether it is incense, anything that we want to offer in a religious or a spiritual context. We can do that in our everyday regular act and say to the universe or to your personal deity or God, this is my offering, this is the best I can do. Just by mere intention and declaring that, you elevate your activity, whatever that is, no matter how mundane, and it will take you back to the source. Just like that kid in Karate Kid, by polishing the car and by painting the fence, the very act takes you back to the source. So if that becomes too strenuous for you to bring awareness to every act of brushing your teeth, combing your hair, taking a shower, changing your clothes, sitting, cooking, serving yourself a meal, sitting down and eating, then I would also offer another way, a slightly easier option to maybe segue into this constant awareness, is to think of an activity that gives you pleasure and fulfillment. And imagine how you feel when you do that. You are so drawn into the present moment that you lose track of time. I know I felt that when I used to paint. What I would think I've spent 30 minutes painting was actually sometimes 5-6 hours, because I am so involved in the process, in the moment, that I have lost track of time. I did not think of all the things I couldn't do before and all the mistakes I'd made while painting, or how the painting will turn out. My entire focus was on that act, taking the brush, dipping it into a certain color and bringing it and applying it to the canvas. And that is what I'm asking you, whether you're cooking, whether you're coding, whether you're, just be in the moment. That is the finest form of spirituality, and something that may be helpful to people who have read the book The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, and the whole message there about, we go looking for a treasure outside, we go to foreign lands, and then we, after all the hero's journey, we come right back to realize the treasure was in our backyard. So similarly, there are many stories that explain this very simple concept, that we go out looking for spirituality, forgetting that we are made up of two energies, the material and the spiritual. In fact, we think we are material beings trying to have a spiritual experience. We are actually spiritual beings trying to have a material experience. It doesn't take anything to become to connect with our spirituality, and every act can take us back to the higher self. So take this moment. We have only a few days left. Experiment with it. Take one act that gives you pleasure. Start with that, and become aware of how you use your choice and want, because there are actually very few needs. We have the need to breathe, and maybe the need to eat, and the need to sleep. Most other things that we do is because we want to. So that could be a spiritual reset, just bringing awareness that I want to do this, I want to take a shower, I want to wear these clothes, I want to read, I want to listen to music, I choose to listen to music, I choose to sit down and spend time with my friends, because these are not needs, these are wants. That is a wonderful spiritual reset. And then taking the power of repetitive rhythmic activities, that's why knitting and sewing and dancing become such meditative practices. They're like mantras. They keep the mind busy and instead of jumping around all over the place, and allows you the opportunity to connect with your spirituality, with your spiritual self. So that is all I would like to talk about today. And yes, of course, today is the very famous pink moon. And somebody asked me what it signifies. I really don't know much about it, except that the first thought that came to mind is pink signifies or symbolizes love and heart, and moon symbolizes our mind and our emotions. And it's apparently called pink moon because this full moon happens in the spring season, and spring is about regeneration and resurrection after a long hibernation of winter. And aren't we all going through that? We have been going through a hibernation phase. We are sitting back, not doing much, and trying to bring awareness to the ending of a cycle and the beginning, the regeneration and resurrection of a new us. And today being full moon, we release everything that we have learned that does not serve us anymore, does not serve our highest well-being and our deepest interest. We release, and we take all this love that we have generated within us in the last few months and release it to Mother Earth, to nature, and get ready for a new phase of our life to resurrect into better human species, and look forward to a wonderful time, because I truly believe the best is yet to come. So that is all for today. Please be safe and stay positive, and until we connect again, thank you so much.